Imagine humans, but different. We make sounds, not just talking sounds. We make short, sharp sounds. Or maybe long, soft whistles. We send these sounds out into the world. They hit things. They bounce back to us. Our ears catch them. Our brains make sense of the echoes. This is echolocation. It's how we see, it's how we know where things are. Think about that. Your main way of knowing the world is through sound, not light. Light still happens. The sun is still there, but it's not the primary sense. Sound is. You click your tongue. A faint image pops into your head. It's not a picture. It's a sound picture, a shape made of echoes. A map of your surroundings. This would change everything from the start. A baby born into this world. It learns to make sounds, little clicks, little chirps, not just to cry or babble. It learns to find its mother, not by seeing her face with eyes, but by echolocating her, by listening to the echoes from her body, her unique shape, her soft clothes, her warm skin. These all send back different echoes. The baby learns to tell them apart. It's a new kind of world for that baby. Our ears would be different, much more sensitive. Maybe they'd be able to swivel a bit, or have tiny hairs that catch very fine echoes. We'd have more processing power in our brains for sound. The part of the brain that sees in our world, that part would be doing something else. It would be handling echoes. It would be making these sound pictures. Imagine walking into a room. You don't just look, you send out sounds. Your brain instantly builds a map. The walls. The furniture, other people, you know their distance, their size, their shape, their material. A wooden table sounds different from a metal table. A soft rug sounds different from a hard floor. You know all this without touching or seeing in our usual way. The world would feel alive with sound information. Every step you take, every movement you make, it sends out your own sounds, and you get back echoes. It's like a constant radar, but it's part of you. It's how you live. This changes how we build things. Buildings would be designed for good echoes. Smooth walls might be bad. They send back too much echo. It would be confusing. Textured walls would be better. They break up the sound. They give more detail. Architects would think about how sound moves through a building, how it bounces, how it feels to echolocate in it. A good building would feel clear, easy to navigate. Then a bad building would feel muddy, confusing. Our homes would be different. Maybe we would not have as many flat, clear surfaces. Maybe more curves, more varying textures. A wall could be plaster here, rough stone there, smooth wood somewhere else, each giving a different echo signature, each helping us know the space. Furniture would be chosen for its echo quality too. A soft sofa might absorb sound. A hard chair might reflect it well. We would arrange them not just for looks, but for sound. For how they help us echolocate, going outside would be a whole new experience. Fog would not be a problem. We don't need light, we use sound. Rain would be a challenge. The raindrops themselves would make echoes. They would create noise, a kind of static, like a blurry picture, but we would learn to filter it out. We would learn to listen through the rain. Strong wind would also be an issue. It distorts sound. It makes it harder to get clear echoes. But again, we would adapt. We would find ways to cope. Darkness would be no issue at all. Night would be just like day for echolocation. We could move through forests, through cities, through caves, all with the same sense of space. We could navigate without light. This would make us much more nocturnal, or at least less dependent on the sun. Our sleep patterns might shift. Our daily routines might be different. Water would be interesting. Sound travels faster in water, and differently. We might be excellent swimmers or divers. We could echolocate under the sea. We could explore the deep ocean, places where light never reaches. We would know the fish, the rocks, the depths, all through sound. This would give us a huge advantage in understanding oceans. Maybe we would have cities under the sea, built by humans who echolocate. Our concept of beauty would change. What is beautiful? A smooth, round object might be simple to echolocate, but perhaps too plain. A complex object with many textures, many curves, many small details, that would give a rich echo. That would be beautiful. A beautiful face might be one with interesting bone structure. Not just for light, but for how sound bounces off it, how it creates a unique echo pattern. Art would be different too. Painters would not exist in the same way. Maybe there would be sound artists. People who create sculptures that reflect sound in interesting ways, or rooms designed for specific echo experiences. A room that makes you feel wide and open. Another that makes you feel small and enclosed. all through how the sound bounces. Music would take on new meaning. It's not just for listening, it's for experiencing space. A musician might play notes that not only sound good, but also send out echoes that create a feeling of movement or depth. They would play with the echoes. Not just the direct sound. Imagine a concert. The sound fills the space, but also defines the space. You feel the music, but you also feel the room itself because of the music. Our clothes would matter. A thick wool sweater would absorb sound. A silk shirt might reflect it more. A person wearing soft, sound-absorbing clothes might feel more private. A little harder to echolocate clearly. Someone wearing clothes that reflect sound well might feel more open, more present. Fashion would be about sound reflection, not just color or shape for eyes. Social interactions would be complex. How do you recognize a friend? By their voice, yes. But also by their echo signature, the way sound bounces off their body, their height, their weight, their unique movements. You would know them by their echoes. You could tell if someone was facing you or away. You could tell if they were smiling or frowning, not by seeing it with light, but by the subtle changes in their facial structure. How the sound reflects. Privacy would be a big deal. You can echolocate someone through a thin wall or a curtain. You know they are there. This can make people feel exposed. We might develop cultural norms around listening in with echolocation. Like we have norms about staring, or maybe we would have rooms designed to be soundproof. To truly be private, rooms with special sound-absorbing materials, places where your echoes don't travel far. The conversation would be different. You speak. Your voice itself creates echoes. It gives away your position. Your movements, your emotions might be clearer. The subtle shifts in your body posture, if you're breathing, all would be picked up through sound. It would be harder to hide things. You would be very aware of your own sound presence. How would we play sports? The ball game would be fascinating. You don't track the ball with your eyes, you track it with your echoes. A high-speed game where everyone is sending out clicks. Following the ball, following each other. Maybe the ball would be designed to give a very distinct echo, a unique sound. So it's easy to track. A game like soccer or basketball, imagine the players. Their constant clicks and chirps, their brains processing a dynamic 3D soundscape of the field. And the other players. Jobs would change. A doctor would echolocate inside you. They wouldn't need x-rays in the same way. They could send sound waves into your body, listen to the echoes from your organs. As your bones, they could hear a tumor. They could feel its density through sound. They could perform surgery by echolocation, guiding their hands by the echoes, knowing exactly where to cut, what to avoid. This would be a completely non-invasive way to understand the body. Engineers would design machines that are echolocation friendly, machines that signal their status through distinct echoes. Not just indicator lights. A car would tell you about its engine, not just with a warning light, but with a subtle change in its operational echoes. You would know it needs service. An airplane would feel different in the air, its echoes telling the pilot about its structural integrity. Our understanding of the world would be deeper in some ways. We would know the texture of things without touching them. The density of materials, the hidden spaces within objects. A geoscientist could echolocate into the earth. Listen to the echoes from rock layers, from underground water. They could map the planet beneath our feet in a whole new way. Without digging, this would make us very good at finding things. A lost child in a forest. A dropped item in a dark room. We could echolocate them. Our sense of direction would be incredibly precise. We would always know where we are, relative to everything around us. Getting lost would be much harder. Education would be geared around developing echolocation skills from a young age. Children would be taught how to make precise sounds, how to interpret complex echoes, how to filter out noise. They would learn advanced echo mapping, how to build mental 3D models from sound. Their textbooks might be about sound reflection, about the different echo signatures of materials. Schools themselves would have echo labs, rooms designed to practice echolocation in different conditions. Maybe rooms with moving objects, rooms that simulate fog or rain, rooms that teach you how to focus your sound, how to broaden your sound, how to detect very small things or very far things. Artists would use sound itself as their medium. Not just music, but sculpted sound. Imagine a room where specific clicks you make create a feeling of being in a vast canyon. Then another click makes you feel like you are in a tight, winding cave. They would be masters of manipulating echoes. Our language would probably include specific terms for types of echoes, words for a sharp echo, a dual echo, a fuzzy echo. We would describe things by how they echolocate. That house has a warm echo. That person has a clear echo. These would be common ways of talking. We might develop special echolocation tools, not just to enhance our natural ability, but to send out different kinds of sound, or to receive echoes in a different spectrum, like a sound microscope or a sound telescope. A device that lets you echolocate things too small or too far away. We could use these for scientific research, for building, for exploration. Think about how we would communicate danger. A loud, sharp sound might be a universal alarm. A specific sequence of echoes could signal an emergency. We would respond to these sound signals instinctively. Our survival instincts would be tied to sound. Our understanding of other animals would change. We would know which animals also echolocate. We would be able to relate to them in a new way. Bats and dolphins would be less mysterious. We would understand their world, maybe even communicate with them using sound in a way we cannot now. We would share a sensory modality. This world would value silence in a different way. True silence would be a rare and precious thing. It would mean absence of objects, an absence of other beings, or maybe it would be terrifying, a void, or maybe it would be a state of extreme relaxation. A quiet mind, where your own echoes are the only thing you perceive, a moment of true peace. Their loud noise would be very disruptive, not just annoying, but painful, overwhelming. It would flood our sensory input. It would be like being blinded by a bright light. We would seek out quiet places. We would design cities to be quieter, to manage sound. To prevent overwhelming noise pollution, our laws might even include sound pollution. Not just noise, but too many confusing echoes, too much sound bouncing around. It could make it hard for people to navigate and to function. It could be a form of assault, a sensory attack. What about our sense of self? How would we define ourselves? Our physical presence would be defined by our echoes. Our movements, our unique sound signature. We would be very aware of our own echo presence. How we project ourselves into the world with sound. We might have a greater connection to the environment. The wind blowing through trees, each leaf giving a tiny echo, the rustle becoming a complex tapestry of sound and space. The waves crashing on the shore, each wave a moving wall of sound, the birds flying, their wings creating echoes that tell us about their speed, their direction, their form. Our mythology and stories would be about sound, about finding things by echoes, about heroes who could echolocate great distances, or detect tiny details, about villains who use sound to confuse, to hide, to distort the world. Our understanding of reality would be shaped by echoes. Think about what it means to feel a space, not just visually, but with sound. You would feel the size of a room, the materials, the furniture, all through the echoes. It would be a tactile sense, but without touching. A remote touch, a feeling of the world's fabric. It would lead to a different kind of curiosity. Not just what does it look like, but what does it sound like in terms of echoes? What kind of echo does that give? This would be a common question when encountering something new. And the act of creating sound for echolocation would be natural as breathing. We might do it without thinking. Our bodies would be designed for it, our vocal cords, our sinuses. They would be specialized for making the right kinds of sounds, precise, high-frequency clicks, or broad, low-frequency pulses. Whatever worked best for different situations. Our ability to navigate in 3 dimensions would be incredible. We could move through complex spaces with ease. Think about climbing, not just seeing handholds, but echolocating them, feeling their texture, their stability, their depth. You would know the whole cliff face with sound, not just what your eyes can see. The sense would make us incredibly aware of movement. Any subtle shift in an object, any small vibration, it would change the echoes. We would be able to detect these tiny changes. This would make us very good at tracking, very good at noticing small details. Our connection to others would also involve this. You would not just hear a person's voice, you would echolocate their movements, their breathing, their heartbeat. Their emotions might be more apparent, not just in their voice, but in their whole echo signature. This could foster deeper empathy, or lead to more guarded behavior. To protect one's internal state, the idea of personal space would be very different. You have a sound bubble around you, your echoes define your immediate presence. Others can perceive this. So, respecting someone's space would mean not intruding on their echo field too much, not sending out too many strong sounds in their direction. Imagine a city at rush hour. A cacophony of echoes, cars, people, buildings, all bouncing sound. It would be an overwhelming sensory experience. We would have to develop incredible filtering abilities to focus on what matters, to block out the rest. Our brains would be masters of pattern recognition in sound. Our language would likely evolve to describe these complex soundscapes, new words. new concepts. It wouldn't just be about pitch and volume, it would be about spatial sound, about the feel of echoes, about the texture of sound reflections, and our tools would reflect this. Imagine a hammer that echoes differently when it hits a soft spot in wood, or a screwdriver that tells you when the screw is fully tight by its echo feedback. Every tool would have an echo signature, every action would have an echo consequence. This would be a world rich in sound detail, a world where silence is rare, a world where our primary sense paints a dynamic, ever-changing 3D map in our minds. A world where the invisible is made visible through sound. It's a fundamental shift in how we understand existence. It changes everything about being human. It's a human experience built on echoes.